Getting back to the MMT controversy.
Yes.
So I guess the controversy was twofold, right? One was people were saying MMT was wrong. Other people were saying, no, actually MMT was right because this is what they predicted. And then sort of the third argument I discovered was like, oh, but then we told them they wouldn't actually raise taxes. And I think on that last one, we agree. And we also, I guess, sort of feel that MMT was correct in the sense that, or at least this inflation is not at odds with what they predicted.
No, it's not. It's not at odds with what they predicted. But I think, being a bit more transparent about, this was going to cause inflation and we're actually okay with that. And, with the caveat that inflation is, I think, still transitory, where we're defining transitory for, as long as the pandemic kind of continues. And I guess we can discuss how long that is and whether that's forever. But I feel like, it seems like there's been a bit of a shift in rhetoric from the MMT crowd. And I say that, again, as somebody who basically agrees with all of the policies that have been put in place, I just feel that it risks discrediting, active fiscal policy and things like that if you don't acknowledge, some of the issues and like stay consistent on your position.
Yeah, and but I did see just now in my chat, like somebody did say that MMT sort of stresses that inflation comes from the supply side in the sense that it's not flexible, or that it at least can come from that. And I think that's also the argument that I saw some people like Stephanie Kelton, I think, use, if I interpreted it correctly, that no, the reason why we're not advising tax hikes right now is because you have these temporary supply shocks and they are the main driver of inflation now, which, I guess is consistent. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, it is. I suppose the question for me is, what do we actually do about that, right? Do we kind of ride the inflation out and hope that, the supply chains are going to readjust when the pandemic is kind of quote unquote over? Again, maybe there won't be an over. Is that what we do? Or do we do more active kind of something like almost like an industrial policy, right? I mean, I've seen some people from the MMT crowd and, the MMT kind of adjacent people talk about some kind of active industrial policy, kind of supply side government spending that aims to expand the capacity of the economy. I mean, I don't know what you think of that.
Yeah, but that will take time, right? Like, where are supply bottlenecks? Mainly in chips, transistors, and I get the impression a lot of stuff that's coming from Asia. Like, how long will it take to build up supply in that? If you're a government, it will take years, right? So I wonder, if that makes sense. Like, if that will help. Not
in the short term. No, I don't think so. I mean, you're not gonna suddenly start producing, microchips in a location where they didn't produce them before, right? Or, certain types of cars or anything kind of high tech. You can't do that. I mean, MMT is, and a lot of people, including me, would make the point that the pandemic probably exposed that a lot of our supply chains aren't resilient in the sense that we may be too reliant on, like, just one country or a very small number of countries. And that's absolutely true. But, the question of what to do in the short term, I think has not really been satisfactorily answered by anybody, by the way. Yeah, I mean, supply chains, industrial policy is a long-term policy if you can get it right. But I don't know. I mean, people talk about raising rates in the short term, right? But MMTers aren't too fond of that.